So what do you think? Am I actually quitting YouTube? Or is there something else happening? You'll find out in a minute. Hi, my name is Red Dan. I'm a vicar in the Church of England. So am I quitting YouTube? Truly, honestly, really? No, I'm not quitting YouTube. I'm changing the direction of the channel. So in a sense, under trade standards, I am quitting something, but in a sense of quitting the direction it was going, or quitting doing some certain things, whatever it might be. But I'm changing the direction of the channel. If I really want this channel to be doing something, is to change things at the grassroots. We hear the news from around the Christian church, that's worldwide and also out in the world. But, you know, I'm a local parish priest, and how does that news affect us at the parish level? How can we make a difference? You know, if I'm really passionate about this, which I am, I'm so passionate about the gospel, but also passionate about getting things right. It's about being open and honest and challenging some of those things. So some of the news stories that I covered, I will still cover, still do the roundup, but really much bringing it back for a focus of we are the local church. So how does this affect us, and what does this affect where we are, whether in a Church of England with a parish or a different denomination? How does this affect us with people living around us? How does these news stories affect us as churches? And try to bring that good news and that challenging news, and how we can change those unjust structures, not just in society, but within the church as well, and facing head on those big issues, but with a different kind of emphasis and a direction. I'll still be digging deeper into those bigger stories, getting underneath of what's actually going on, but again with the emphasis bringing it back to the local church. So if there's something happening out there in the world or in the Church of England, it's a local diocese, how does that affect them and us, and how does that affect local churches, different denominations as well, and relationships? Obviously I'm a Church of England priest, and that's the direction it'd be coming from, but we are all Christians in this. I'm also thinking of bringing back, I was going to do it a few months ago at the King's coronation, but it's a lot of work, a vicar's life. If you followed the channel, you know what a vicar's life is. It's me going out and recording myself as I live my life out as a vicar in my parish. It's a bit more work. These videos are quite easy, very quick to put together, but they're a bit more work, and that's why I didn't do it at the coronation. Lots of stuff going on, but I did it at the Jubilee, and I've been making those videos for a few years. Here's a playlist, so if you haven't seen them, you can see what they are like. I know people have asked for me to do them again. If you watch the playlist, be careful. In them I'm younger and thinner, so it is still me. Comment below, do you want to see that? What would you like to see on the channel? You know, in the reflection of the whole thing is about what's the purpose behind this. I don't want to be seen as just going on about the Church of England all the time. And yes, the Church of England is just going through quite a time, and the news is all about the Church of England. There's an article come out called "Britain is No Country for Christians" by Emma Webb in the Telegraph. I'm not going to comment on that. I'll let you read that, because let's just give this one a pass this week, to give the Church of England, in that sense, a week off. I'll leave that to Emma Webb and your reading of it. But and so it doesn't just look, I'm just going on about the Church of England, but to make to kind of make this channel a force for good. So challenging where we need to challenge, not just me bringing it up, but in the local church where we can challenge and take things forward. A great example was the church up in the north, who really wanted to get rid of the wedding fees, because they were finding it was a real block for people to get married in church. And so they took that to their PCC meeting, their elders meeting, and it went through all the process, all the way to General Synod, where they voted yes, and they're going to do a trial run, and it could go national. And that's what we need. That's what I want this to be, a force for good, and to reach those who disagree as well, who might be able to watch this channel and be challenged in a real positive way by the things that I'm going to say. So I'm quitting some things, technically, to really try and make this channel a force for good. So subscribe to the channel. The fun bit's still on, getting this channel bigger than the Church of England. You know, if we really want to drive change, and things like Save the Parish do that, we need to start at the grassroots, because that's where the church really is, at the grassroots in every village, town and city of our nation. And that's where the change needs to start. Usually not at the top, but at the bottom up. So the other thing to balance all of this out is I'm putting more of my life and things that happen behind the scene on my social media. So I'm mainly using Twitter, my Facebook page and Instagram. You can follow me at Mono Inglés. Mono Inglés is my name across them all. You might read it as Mono Ingles, and you'll see me putting more behind the scenes, just showing that I can smile. So now we've got lots of news to get through after that update. And let's start off with some really great news from the Christian Post. A beautiful thing. 4,500 people baptized at California beach days after SoCal Festival. So this happened at Pirates Cove Beach, where is it remembered in the Jesus Revolution movie, where they, back in the 70s, they did loads of baptisms here of the hippie revolution, where the Holy Spirit came and so many people came to faith, and Calvary Church started out there. And then you got 20,000 people attending and 4,500 people getting baptized. Wouldn't that be amazing? In the church, not just Church of England, but the church in England, of so many people coming to faith and just wanting to be baptized. Now, we're not going to go to the beach in winter. Whoa, that would be a real baptism, wouldn't it? But you know, it'd be amazing, like in Brighton or Bournemouth, or on a beach somewhere up north, cold again, just baptizing people, coming to faith, just in the sea, it'd just be amazing. And so many people watching. That's a prayer for the Holy Spirit. So let's start this movement. Let's get in our churches and just start praying that one day 4,500 people will be baptized on a beach here in England, and a beach that becomes known as a baptism beach for those who just want to come to know Christ. And then tens of thousands of people watching. That's what we want to do, people. So now we come back to the issue, which is right at the centre of the Church of England at the moment. The LLF, same-sex blessings, live in love and faith, whatever you might call it. This story is going to go on into the early part of next year, to be honest, even if it and when it goes through in November in the General Synod. So I've got two articles here. One is the Church of England Evangelical Council setting out what they do, and then the other is from inclusive organisations writing to the archbishops and the bishops who are involved in this. So the first one is the Evangelical Council, who put forward proposals about how Orthodox Anglicans can move forward with this, and it all kind of comes round not putting anything in legal place at the moment, but doing it informally and starting things informally, that in the future these can be adopted formally and legally. So the first, and they call it, the provision is for Orthodox bishops to be there to provide oversight for Orthodox clergy. You've got a lot of Orthodox clergy and liberal bishops, and vice versa as well. So they're saying, let's get Orthodox bishops for those Orthodox clergy. Secondly, a national financial trust to enable individuals to give through an alternative structure. So you've got people in churches, they might be unhappy of being in perhaps an Orthodox church, but part of their parish share goes to a liberal run diocese, in that sense by the bishop who's liberal, and so they're saying, let's funnel that money in a different way so people are happy to give, because the other thing is they just might stop giving. Thirdly, resetting relationships with the Church of England via provision of a new fellowship, and they say here both individuals and churches will be able to apply for membership of this new fellowship, and it will include bishops, clergy and lay people, and a shadow governance structure elected by the membership. So that's a kind of big thing there. And fourthly, the CEEC will launch pipelines to secure Orthodox candidates for ordination and parochial appointments and senior leadership. So it really is creating a whole different, at the moment, in a sense, shadow structure, because it's informal but will become legal. So that's what the Church of England Evangelical Council are asking for. And then on the other side, you got a public letter on behalf of inclusive organisations to the archbishops and bishops. So obviously they want to make sure this goes through. The Evangelical Council want to make sure it doesn't go through. And they say here, as a kind of way to go around it, that they note that the legal advice accepted by the House of Bishops ahead of February synod defined that the prayers as drafted, the ones that were back then, were not incompatible with the doctrine of the Church of England. And they are saying, we encourage parishes to make free use of them now on the basis of that advice, supported by the clear majority in the three houses of the General Synod who voted in their favour. So all the three houses voted in favour. They're saying it's not going against doctrine. They're saying it's not illegal, and they're encouraging people to use it now. And that question was actually asked at General Synod, and the answer was like, please don't, basically. So because the bishop's saying it's not going against doctrine. So, and I know, I've been told of churches that are doing same-sex blessings, and if I've been told, and I'm just like a local parish priest, I'm sure that is known wider and above my pay grade, but nothing is being done. So, in a sense, on both of these, I think like the way forward is the differentiation. Now, I wasn't a fan of the differentiation at the time. I didn't think it was the way to go, but I think to work forward is to come together, both sides, and agree how this can actually work, starting now instead of it getting all quite nasty, because I don't see any other way of this truly happening. And then, like I said, I wasn't for the differentiation. What do you think of this? These two coming together, they're never the trade shall meet, and that's where we have to admit. But how do we move forward? Put your comments below on how we actually do this in reality. So what's seen some good news on the Independent Safeguarding Board front. Professor Alexis J appointed to sort out Church of England's safeguarding. So Professor J has been appointed as the new chair, and I think that this will be implemented in the second part. The first part of the Safeguarding Board, which got sacked, was part 1, and it was always going to go to part 2 to be more fully independent. And Professor J has been brought in to sort that out, appointed by the Archbishops of York and Canterbury, or they announced it, shall I say. And Professor J led the national inquiry established in 2015 into the extent in which institutions had failed to protect children and child sexual abuse. So got good experience, and hopefully this will bring to an end this uncertainty of what's happening with the Independent Safeguarding Board. What happened at the General Synod as well was a bit of a debacle with trying to get them to speak and not speaking. It just felt very uncomfortable, and they should have been given a platform at the beginning to speak. We need to hear about this and get this right, because as I said before in videos, there's victims, survivors here who are going through a terrible emotional time, I could only imagine, with this, and the trust. Some pretty bad people got into the Church of England and did bad things, and now this must just only add on to that. So I hope Professor J can bring in some stability, and that the Church of England can set up something that's independent. Remember, this is looking at historical past cases. The Church going forward is, as I said before, as well, is very strong now on safeguarding, more aware. In Oxford Diocese and some other dioceses, we use something called parish dashboards, which help us with our safeguarding. And there's always talk about culture of safeguarding. So there's two things happening here, but looking at the past, but making sure we're getting it right in the future. And with this, we had to learn from the first Independent Safeguarding Board. There's two different stories coming out about what happened, but I think we have to go back to the initial start. Was it set up right? And that's key. If you don't set something up right, you can get what happened. Not saying that is the case, just saying. So hopefully Professor J can come in and set this up right, and then the safeguarding in the Church of England will be really good, and the relationship and the trust with the survivors built back up, because that is of paramount importance. this is not a good story at all. But again, on the local level, we've got to face this. We've got to be churches speaking about this in our church, praying about these situations in our church, and being open, not just never speaking about it. This is the awful humiliation and rape of the 2 women in India by a group of Hindu men. If you've seen the video, I see part of the video. They're stripped naked and molested, and then let's say one of them was gang raped. The news report also said that one of the family members tried to stop and was murdered. This stuff is happening, and we need to talk about this in our churches and pray about this. I've talked about what's been happening around the world. We've got people dying daily in Nigeria, in India, in Jaipur. This is about religious belief with Hindu and Christian. It's also about their different tribes as well, which gets caught up locally. But the European Parliament even has come out and said protect Christians in India from the Church Times, and they're taking notice. But we as a church nationally in England have to be speaking about this and be praying about this and seeing what we can do to help. It is a terrible, terrible situation, which also leads on to something else that's been highlighted. See, this is where we can, as a local church, highlight the movie Sound of Freedom, which came out in the States on the 4th of July for the people who make The Chosen. Angel Studios has highlighted that 2 million children are kidnapped every year and sold into sex trade, and many are killed when they get older and not needed anymore for their organs. It's horrendous, based on a true story. It's going to come to the UK on the 1st of September into the cinemas, and I know it's going to be a hard watch, but we have to get people out there to watch this. We have to get this film when we're allowed to screen in our churches to get people to watch. This has highlighted something, and I knew it went on because my wife is from Colombia, and so she would talk about this this that happens. It comes into your home, it becomes a reality. And now this movie is highlighting this sex trafficking of children and murder of children in a way which is very difficult, but we have to confront, and we have to be churches that hold these difficult topics, and we speak about them as well in the places that we live outside of the church with non-Christians, and highlight it to them. Our hearts need to be broken for this, because it's so horrendous what's happening in India, Nigeria, China, North Korea. It's horrendous, and most of these children, by the way, go to the States, traffic to the States. So let's kind of take the example of this movie and really, from the ground level up, be a force for change for these stories, and help get lives changed of those people who are being persecuted, because it's not something that God would want, and we should not let this happen. So not being too harsh with that, because local churches do good things. Local pantries and food banks are put out from churches to help local people. They say in the story from Christian Today that people are saving over £1,000 a year on their food shopping bills because they can't afford the food, so they're going to these local food banks. They're saying there's 35,000 members of local pantries. The local pantry is this version that we got different food banks as well, covering nearly 13,000 households, and that's just one, let alone so many across the UK. And members of that local pantry reported improvements in their household finances. 97% reported improvement. Physical health, 68%. Mental health, 83%. And a stronger connection with their local community, 74%. And 2/3 reported being able to form new relationships as a result of being their local pantry, and a similar proportion said they were eating more fresh vegetables and fruit. This is amazing. These local food banks, local pantries, whatever they are, being started, yes, and some of them started outside of the church, but started inside the church, and having this amazing effect on their community and with people. Good news that we are doing, and it also gives an opportunity, and this is key, to speak about the good news of the gospel and the hope that we have, and that many people might come to know Jesus. We do get it right at a local level, so let's get more of this, of how we can change people's lives. So the Christian Institute have just launched new resources on critical theory for church leaders. This is really important. In my last video, I spoke about the Diocese of Ipswich, who are using white privilege and critical race theory in their schools, which they have in a trust. 87 schools, 85 are primary schools, and they're learning about white privilege and critical race theory in those schools. And the Christian Institute they put together resources for church leaders about this, because we need to learn about these theories. And so the academic says there are three manifestations of critical theory which increasingly threaten the UK: critical gender theory, critical legal theory, and critical race theory. And there's resources on there to help us to understand that. And this stuff comes into schools and Church of England schools, especially where we have the Bible. If you take critical race theory and gender theory as well, we know that the Bible teaches that we're all made in the image of Christ, or God, well, the same, and that there is no difference in that sense. Yes, we have different hair colour, eye colour, skin colour, and those things, but we're ultimately made in the image of God. And as Paul writes, there's no Jew, no Gentile, no slave, no free, and all that is changed. And that's what we should, as Christians, be talking about. But we need to be aware of what critical theory is. And so the link is down below. Please click on it and please use it. This is really important at a local level, as we can speak about the good news of Jesus and how we're made in the image of God, instead of these theories which have been contested actually and found wanting. So I don't know if you've seen this. I haven't seen this, so I'm just going to go off the article for the Premier Christian News. I didn't watch it because I was busy working. Orthodox Christian Djokovic Wimbledon loss, a lesson in grace, says tennis expert. So you've got this expert who is watching Novak Djokovic lose a Wimbledon final. First time he's done in over 10 years to the new world number one, a 20-year-old Carlos Alcaraz, and says the grace in which he did it and the way that he spoke to him after was something that was very Christian, very different, and it was reaction. I remember hearing, I think it was Bernard Langer, a big Christian, and he had a 9-foot putt or something like that. This might have been at the Alpha course to win the golf equivalent to Wimbledon, the Open or something like that. And he either missed it or got it. Anyway, he got asked a question, what would you do if you missed it, or how did you feel if you missed it? I think he got it. And he said, it doesn't matter. My Lord and Saviour died on the cross for me. This is nothing compared to that. Let's put it in perspective. And that sticks with me. Might not get all the facts right of the story, but it sticks with me, the moral of the story. And so here, the way Djokovic has so graciously lost the biggest title in tennis was just amazing, and a great testimony which we can use. It says here, the way he actually praised Alcaraz and congratulated him on his win, and just accepted that, he should be very grateful for what he's actually done. And this person says, I just thought there was a huge amount of humility, and sometimes for all of us it's important that we show grace when things don't go quite our way. And so, the match was to and fro probably, but at the end he showed grace and he showed Christ, and that's what's important. And a great testimony. You can use it in your sermons. So this is a moral one, and this is what we potentially face in our parishes and in our churches. So a Catholic bishop has come out and welcomes the reduced sentence for the woman who obtained abortion tablets illegally. Now that headline doesn't really give what happened. She was 32 to 34 weeks pregnant. She got abortion pills at home. These abortion pills are sent at home, and she took them and she killed her baby, which, had it been born at that time, would have an amazing chance of survival. She was given a 28-month sentence, and it's been reduced to half because she has 3 other children, and it's a real moral one. What would you do in the situation? She intentionally knew what she was doing, get the abortion pills by post. She knew how far she had gone. She knew what would happen, but the baby was 32 to 34 weeks. He was sent to prison, but then you got this Catholic bishop saying, actually, I welcome that reduction in time inside. It's one that people would have a moral argument on both, and it's a reflection, because again, we need to wrestle with these things, because these things are happening, and especially abortion by post, where they're just posting out the pills to people, and things like this do happen. Which side of the fence do you sit on? And following that, which side of the fence do you sit on with this one? Tattoos break down barriers, say priest. So the future canon precentor, Canterbury Cathedral, has been appointed. The Wendy, can't even say the first name, this is the second name, Dalrymple, who's rector of All Saints of the Holy Trinity at Loughborough, has now been appointed, and there's a photo. She's got tattoos, as you can see. She's in a short sleeve top. She's got tattoos. She got them after she got ordained, or afterwards she went to theological college. Big thing on Twitter. What do you think? Do you think priests should have tattoos or not? For me, it's not really a bother. All these ones are religious anyway, and we welcome people in. And in the future, the way that people have got tattoos now, they're going at their necks and stuff like that. People are going to come to Christ and they're going to be called. And you ask them to take the tattoos off. But what do you think? Do you disagree with tattoos? Do you think that people shouldn't have tattoos, whether they're religious or not? For me, there's bigger things. But to have more than 1,000 replies, so. And what do you think if your book out tattoos? What would you think? So there you go. There's a lot to get through. It's a long one today. Leave your comments below. And tell me what you think about the new direction of the channel. Tell me what you think about some of the stories below, and I will see you soon. It might be for a vicar's life if you want me to do that. It might just be digging deeper into another story. See you soon. Bye.